a beginner's guide to natural weight loss. I am going to share 10 healthy tips to help you make considerable progress with your health and weight loss goals. And if we have not already met, my name is Dani Spies. I'm a health, wellness, and weight loss coach, and I have spent many years studying weight loss. I've spent years coaching clients on weight loss, and more importantly, being on my own weight loss and now fitness journey. And if there's anything that I have come to know for sure, it's that our health and weight loss goals are truly a mental, emotional, and physical journey. It's both a science and an art. It requires a little bit of science and a little bit of soul. And if you are somebody who has struggled with weight loss in the past, then I know for sure that these 10 tips are going to be extremely helpful to you. Now, the first realization that I came to on my own weight loss journey, this was years ago, but it was very powerful, was that while I really wanted to lose weight, and I was having a difficult time figuring out how to do that in a sustainable way for myself, I was not broken and I did not need to be fixed. When we approach our weight loss goals from the energy of needing to be fixed or from the belief that there is something inherently wrong with us, we are working on a very slippery slope. Yes, losing weight can help you to feel lighter, more energetic, more vibrant, etc. But it cannot make you more capable, more valuable, or more worthy as a human being. So if you are believing that your okayness lives on the other side of weight loss, you're always going to feel like you're chasing your tail, or you're always going to feel like you're spinning and you're not making any progress, or like you're working against yourself. So instead, I want to encourage you to embody the knowing that you are perfectly whole, capable, and worthy just as you are today in the body that you are in, and you would like to lose some weight. Okay, tip number 2 is that food is simply one piece of the weight loss puzzle. And food is definitely an important piece of the puzzle, right? And it absolutely can have an effect on our ability to reach our goals. It does not tell the whole entire story. What I often see, and I've done it myself, is that when we stop progressing with our weight loss goals or we're bumping into obstacles, we automatically think that we either need to change our dietary approach or we need to eliminate certain foods or food groups from our diet. And while sometimes this may be the case, oftentimes it is not. And what we really need to do is zoom out, take our attention off the food, and investigate some of the other arenas of our lives that may contribute to our ability to reach our health and weight loss goals. So things like sleep, stress, your relationships, your community, your environment, your ability to allow and process emotions, which is a gigantic topic, and we are going to touch on that later in this video as well. But basically, anytime you have a desire to put food in your mouth when you are not physically hungry, you have a little bit of investigation to do that is really not a conversation about food. So if you find yourself always thinking about food and always thinking that food is the culprit, you may want to step back and start to think about some of these other arenas. Okay, tip number 3 is to focus on the quality of the food that you eat, not simply the calories in the food that you eat. So many of us have been taught to focus on calories when we're trying to lose weight, and I understand why that is. We do need to consume less energy than we burn when we're trying to lose weight. But what I have found to be extremely helpful on my own journey is to focus on the quality of the foods that I choose to eat, because the quality of the foods that you eat can make a big difference in your ability to, number 1, stay in the caloric range that helps you lose weight, and number 2, really feel satiated and satisfied with your meals. So for instance, if you had a 400 calorie meal that was, let's say, a nice light fluffy bakery bought blueberry muffin, right? While delicious, this is a meal that is pretty much made up of carbohydrates and fat while being very low in protein and fiber. So your body doesn't have to do a lot of work to break that food down. That food has been highly processed before you even take a bite of it. So your body can break it down and assimilate it very quickly, which will often leave us feeling hungry shortly after we eat the meal. Now, if you were to take another 400 calorie meal that was made of more real, whole, unprocessed foods, so say something like a beautiful piece of salmon and some brown rice and your favorite vegetable, maybe some broccoli, and you were to eat that, that's going to take a little more work and effort for your body to break down, right? That meal is going to be made up of some more protein, some healthy fats, slow digesting carbohydrates, fiber, and that takes extra time, a little more effort for your body to process. That food is less processed outside of your body, and so your body needs to do more processing. It's going to take more time. And so what that can result in is you feeling more satiated and satisfied after eating and having the ability to go several hours before you were hungry and thinking about food again. So you can see how that would be very supportive of somebody who's trying to lose weight. So it's not really just a conversation about calories. You really want to think about the quality of the food you are eating. Think about some of your favorite meals and ask yourself how you can level those meals up. How can you create the same type of meals with higher quality ingredients? This is a very fun place to explore. Tip number 4 plays right off of tip number 3, and that is I want you to let go of food morality, right? This truly is not a conversation about good foods and bad foods or healthy foods or unhealthy foods. This is really a conversation about how does this food feel in my body? Does this food help me to move towards my personal health and or weight loss goals? Because what I can tell you for sure is that you do not need to eat a perfect diet. You don't need to be a health nut to reach your weight loss goals, right? As a matter of fact, for most people, I would say it's very important that you find ways to incorporate your favorite foods into your dietary approach, because this is what's going to make your dietary approach feel enjoyable and sustainable. And those are both key components of truly making lifestyle changes that are going to support your health and weight loss goals. So instead of thinking about your food in the terms of good and bad or healthy or unhealthy, start to notice for yourself, does this food help me to feel light and energized after I eat it? Or do I feel weighed down or bloated or physically uncomfortable? Does this food help me to feel satisfied and satiated after a meal? Or am I hungry and looking to snack an hour later? Really what you want to see is, are the food choices that you're making, are they aligning with the direction that you are trying to go with your health and weight loss goals? That's really what this comes down to. And it's a personal journey, right? It's different for everybody, which is why we really have to pay attention to how we feel. We have to get out of our minds, let go of the morality, let go of the good and the bad and all of the things, and truly say, hey, does this work for me? Is this helping me get to where I want to go? Do I like how I feel when I eat these foods? And here's the thing. If the answer is no, what you're going to see is that it's very different to tell yourself, I can't do that, or I shouldn't do that, versus I don't think I want to do that right now, right? Both actions are the same. The action is I'm not going to eat the food, but the energy that drives that action is very different. One is going to leave you feeling deprived and restricted, and the other is going to leave you feeling inspired and perhaps even a little bit excited. So explore that one for yourselves. Tip number 5 is to shift your focus to all of the beautiful, whole, delicious, nutritious foods that you get to incorporate into your diet, and spend less time focusing on the foods that you think you should minimize or eliminate from your diet. Because if you are constantly thinking about what you're not supposed to eat or what you don't want to eat, it is going to get old really fast, right? You are going to feel restricted and you are going to feel deprived, and it's not going to feel doable and it's not going to feel sustainable. I know I have repeated this several times, but it is for good reason. It's very important that your decisions feel doable and they feel sustainable. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to stick with them consistently over a lifetime, right? Over a long period of time. And ultimately, that's what we need to do. So instead, try to have some fun with it. Really start to shift your focus and explore all of the beautiful fruits and vegetables and whole grains and, healthy fats and beautiful protein options that you get to incorporate into your diet. Maybe experiment with a new recipe each week, Or challenge yourself to try one new seasonal ingredient each week. Make it like a little bit of game. It makes it very fun, it makes it playful, and it makes it exciting. When I was working on these changes for myself in my own life, I really started to explore all of these different food options and all of the fun ways I could create meals that would actually support my health and weight loss goals. And it really became one of my favorite things to do. So I do want to encourage you to shift that focus on all of the foods that you can eat, because there are a lot of them out there, and then start to have some fun with it and see if that doesn't help you to build some positive momentum. Okay, tip number 6, we are going to shift off of food for a little bit. And honestly, I think this tip could be number 1, the most important tip, and that is that you cannot out-action your belief systems. This one is very important, especially if you feel like you have been on the hamster wheel of weight loss for many years, right? You keep on trying and you keep on trying and you don't feel like you're making any progress. You cannot make positive progress, right? You cannot move in the direction that you want to go if you have a script in your head constantly working against yourself and your goals. And what I mean by that is if you find that you're constantly thinking thoughts like, I've just never been able to lose weight. Everybody in my family is overweight, so how could I possibly lose weight? Of course it's going to be hard for me. Weight loss is just hard for me. My weight will not budge. My body likes to be at this weight. This is just kind of like my sticking point. I don't have any willpower. I don't have any self-discipline. Weight loss is just harder for me than it is for other people, right? This is just one of many thoughts that can go through somebody's mind when they are feeling doubtful about their ability to lose weight or when we're feeling frustrated. But it is so important for us to remember that our thoughts precede our actions. We cannot have these negative scripts running in our brain all day long that directly oppose what we're trying to do and make forward progress on our goals, or at least we can't do it in a sustainable way. So it's really important that we get our thinking aligned with where we want to go, right? We have to think in a way that aligns with the goals that we have set for ourselves, because like I said before, we just cannot out-action our belief systems. It is so important to kind of look under the hood and see what's going on up here so we can tweak and adjust our thinking to move in the direction of where we are trying to go. And I know right now some of you are having like an aha moment, because that's exactly how I felt when I started to really learn this and pay more attention to what was going on in my brain. And so if that's you, I would love if you would come on down to the comments below and share just one false belief that you know you need to shift and or let go of in order to continue to move towards your health and weight loss goals. Because when you do that, other people get to read it, they get to see that they're not alone, and we all get to learn from each other, and we also all get to support each other. Tip number 7 is that momentum is your best friend. So many of us have learned that weight loss is supposed to be hard, it's supposed to be extreme, it's supposed to be fast, right? And so we go at it with this all or nothing mentality, right? It's that I'm doing this or I'm not doing this type of thought process. But the truth is, it's that small changes practiced consistently over time is where big results come from. So it's so important that we begin to build up momentum by focusing on small day-to-day practices, because that's what's going to help us really start to get the wheels turning, where you start to feel good and you start to believe and you have some hope and you get excited and then you're ready to do the next thing and one thing leads to another. And that does not come from trying to do everything at one time. This is not hard and fast. That comes from setting one clear, specific action, one clear, specific practice for yourself, and then practicing it until you're like, hey, I'm a person who does that. I'm a person who drinks 8 glasses of water a day. I'm a person that includes vegetables at several meals a day. I am a person who has learned to allow and process emotions without turning to food, right? And now I'm going to practice this next thing, right? You feel good when you achieve these smaller goals you set for yourself. And when we feel good, it's much easier for us to do behaviors that feel good, right? Do you ever notice that? Like the worse you feel, the harder it is, and the better you feel, the easier it is. So make little changes that help you to feel good so that you can build momentum. We have to let go of this all or nothing thinking. We have to let go of the extreme weight loss approaches and allow ourselves to find a path that is going to be doable, that is going to be sustainable, and that's truly going to allow us to shift our lifestyles. Tip number 8 comes right off the heels of tip number 7, and that is that there's no wagon. There's just no wagon, right? If you have dieted in the past, or if you are someone who sometimes struggles with a diet mentality, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? We're either on the wagon or we're off the wagon. If we're eating the foods we want to eat and doing the things we said we were going to do, we're on the wagon. If we slip up, if we make a mistake, if we eat something we hadn't planned to eat, then we're off the wagon. So we really need to shift this mentality for a couple of different reasons, but most importantly is that it's truly rooted in this false idea of perfectionism, right? That you are going to reach your health and weight loss goals once you learn how to do it perfectly every day. And that's just not what it looks like. I promise you, you're going to have slip ups, you're going to make mistakes, you're going to do things that you said you didn't want to do or that you didn't plan to do. And instead of using that as a reason to beat yourself up or to tell yourself that things aren't working, we have to use that as an opportunity to learn, grow, and continue to move forward, right? Because when we have the wagon and we fall off the wagon, what do? We use that as a reason to then have bad behavior, or what I would be better said as misaligned behavior, meaning we take actions that no longer align with where we're trying to go just because we made a mistake. So I want you to really let go of the wagon, right? This is a continuum. No matter what, we still move forward. No matter what, we still move forward. And I really love the concept that you cannot fail unless you quit. So allow yourself to be imperfect, but do not allow yourself to just jump right off the wagon and throw the whole thing away. Tip number 9, and this is actually a great example of how we don't always need to be focusing on food to make progress towards our health and weight loss goals, and that is to learn and practice how to allow and process your emotions. So many of us will use food as a tool to help us regulate our emotions. It's a very normal thing. Most people have done this at one point or other in their lives. We do it because it's helpful and it is effective in the moment. But what we have to remind ourselves is that food can truly only solve for one problem, and that is physical hunger. And while it can help us to downgrade our emotions or sidestep our emotions or avoid our emotions, it truly can't solve for our emotions, because once we're done eating, we still have that original emotion hanging out waiting for us. And this truthfully could be a whole video in and of itself. And if that's something that interests you, please let me know down in the comments below, because this definitely is a much bigger conversation. But the short note is that we want to learn how to be with and how to process emotions instead of using food as a tool to soothe or ease or to sidestep our emotions. Tip number 10 is to give yourself permission to go slow so that you can commit to and practice one thing at a time. We have to remember that when we are trying to create any type of change in our lives, our brains have got to come into the game with a heightened awareness, right? We have to turn up our consciousness and we have to turn up our awareness. We really have to start to pay attention to what we have done in the past and what we want to do differently in the moment. Because the moment you are unaware or not paying attention, your brain is automatically going to default to what's familiar and to what is easy and to what is efficient and ultimately to what it did yesterday, right? This is just the way the brain is designed. Nothing has gone wrong. So the key to really creating lifestyle shifts that are ultimately going to support your health and weight loss goals is to choose one habit, one behavior at a time to focus on, and then practice that behavior until it doesn't require so much of your attention anymore. Practice that behavior until it's just part of who you are. It's just part of something that you do. Because once it becomes more habitual, then it becomes easier. And then you can go back to the drawing board and pick something else to focus on and something else to practice. And you just start building one new habit, one new behavior at a time until you've ultimately really become a completely different version of yourself. What most people tend to do is we will practice the new behavior or the new habit until it gets hard or until we bump into an obstacle, and then we tell ourselves it's not working, right? And then we tell ourselves, oh, we have to do more or we have to do something different. But that's never the case. What we have to remind ourselves, it's actually the obstacles where we have to start to do the work. Right? Because it's those little sticky places that we have to figure out for ourselves. Like, where does it feel hard and how can you make it a little easier? Where does it feel not super doable? And what do you need to start to shift that for yourself? Because that's when we have those little breakthrough moments that really create those bigger changes. And just as a side note, when you do practice these habits or you do practice new behaviors and the end of the day comes and you've checked that box and you did the thing you said you were going to do, take pause and acknowledge yourself for it. Really just give yourself a little nod, celebrate yourself, say good job to yourself, because this is what's going to help you to feel better. And when we start to feel better, that's what also starts to build the positive momentum. And you're going to see that the better you feel, the easier it is to take actions that actually support you feeling good. They really work very closely together. And remember that weight loss is not just a journey about the number on the scale going down or extra weight falling off of your body. It's truly a journey about fostering and nurturing the relationship that we have with ourselves, right? Getting to understand what we need, how we need it, what it needs to look like to work for you. Giving yourself permission to be exactly where you are today and want to create change for yourself. Letting that all live together and coming at it with a very kind, loving, compassionate energy so that you can truly meet yourself, because that's what's going to allow you to understand yourself and understand how you need the changes to look to move you in the direction of those health and weight loss goals. So I hope that you found these 10 tips to be helpful. That is certainly not an all-inclusive list, but these really are 10 tips and shifts that really helped me to progress on my personal health and weight loss goals. So I'm really happy to be sharing them with you. And as always, thanks so much for watching. Cheers.